Hello guys, and welcome in the second part. So today we're gonna finish implementation of our config file. So open our project and open the config file in the Visual Studio. Okay, so we have our save score list. Now we need the update score list. So I'll create a public static void update score list. Okay, the update score list will take the stream reader. So this is to read the file. I will call it file. Will be equal to new stream reader and then the path. Okay, so the path is the path to our file, and then I will create a string line. So this is going to be the line, and then we want to do the while loop, while, and then we want to put another braces, so line is equal to file dot read line is not equal to null. So what this function is doing is just reading the file line by line, and if it's read something, so the line is not equal to null, we want to keep reading. Okay, so that way we read everything from the file from the start to end. And then we want to loop the for int I is equal to 0, I is less than the number of score records, I plus plus. Okay, and then we want to check if line, let me bring up the file again. So if we are reading the continent, we have the hash at the beginning, so we want to check. So if the line is not equal the hash, so if we are reading actually the information about the country, we want to do the string, and that's need to be array. Line part will be equal to line dot split, and we want to split the line. Make sure you put in one apostrophe by the dot. Okay, so what we're gonna do is, let's say we're reading the Germany, so we have a dot here, so we want to split this whole line by that dot. So the first part of the line will be this one will be in the line part at the index of 0, and the rest of the line will be at the line part line at the index of 1. Okay, so we're splitting the line by this dot because the information only important to us is this 0. So we want to know if the player has guessed the Germany or not. Okay, so if the line part at 0 is equal to I dot toString. So first of all, we want to check if we are on the correct index based on the loop, based on this I. If we are, then we want to create the string, another array. So now we have this part of the line, and we want to split this line by the letter D. Okay, so the first part of the line will be 0. This is the information is important to us, and the rest of them will be like the name of the country or nothing, is depend which mode we are in. Okay, so this link is gonna, I will call it part substring. Maybe the name is not the best, but you can come up with something better. I will use like regex dot split line part at index 1. Okay, so the line part over here has the information which is important to us. So, and you want to split it by letter D. Make sure you put here double apostrophe. Okay, and then we want to create the variables int score, and then we need to try to read this this score from the file. So if int dot try parse, so we try to read the integer from the part from this part substring, so parse substring at position 0. So, and we want to output it out to this score variable. Okay, so if we succeed, we want to do the score list. So we want to update our score list at I with the score, so whatever we read from the file. I made a typo. Score list. Okay, otherwise we want to set the score list at I to be equal to 0. So if we not successfully read anything from the file, we just want to actually set it to 0, so we not bother. Okay, I will just remove this braces because it's look much tighter. Okay, so this is what's happened if we read the information about the country, but if else, so make sure we put this else outside of this if statement. So else, otherwise we're reading information about the continent, so we don't care. Score list at I will be equal to 4. You can put any random number. The 4 it's not going to be used anywhere, so I just put 4. You can put, I don't know, 10, 100, whatever, because we don't really care about this bit. Okay, and then once we done that, outside of this while loop, so let's collapse it, we want to do the file dot close. So we want to close the file, and then we want to call the update we want to update the continent scores. Okay, so we want to update this array, sorry, that list. So let's create the update continent scores like below. We just open this while loop, so it's going to be private static void update continent scores. Okay, so first of all we want to do the continent scores dot for each. So we want to basically set all of these values with the continents to be 0 for each item. So we create the lambda is equal to 0. Okay, so basically this for each is just looping as normal loop through all of the elements, taking the elements from the list and setting that elements to 0. That's basically what it's doing. So int, now I need to create an integer variable. Searching continent will be equal to 0, and then int last position. Last position will be equal to position in, find last position in the continent, and we want to pass this searching continent. Okay, so we're going to create this function in a minute. Let's just leave it for the placeholder for now. So basically this function, what this function is going to do, this function is going to find our position of the last position of of the continent. So let's say for the Europe, the last position for this continent is gonna be number 7. For the Asia, last position is gonna be number 14. Okay, because that's how it's gonna be laid out in the file. So that's what this function is doing. Okay, so maybe implement it straight away, because that's gonna be short function. So right below, I will do the private static int, and then I will just put this and then int continent index. Okay, and then we want to do the position, so int position is equal to 0, and then we want to do for loop for int I is equal to 0, I is less than the less or equal continent index I plus plus, and then position will be plus equal continent lengths at I. So we want to increase the position by the number of the flags in the certain continent, and then we want to return the position. Okay, that's it. So that's what this function is doing. Okay, let's go back to our update continent scores. So right below, we want to do the for loop. So for int I is equal to 0, I is less than the number of score records, I plus plus, and then if I is less or equal last position, and we open the braces, score list add that I is equal to 1. So if basically if the I, if we are in between the continent name, so if we are in this area, so that's what is I is checking, and then this number is 1, then we want to increase the score for this continent. So continent score at searching continent will be plus plus. Okay, so else if, so otherwise if the I is more than the last position, so if we are at this location, or let's say we've been in the Europe, and then we are here or there, so that means we just switch to the next continent. So we want to increase the searching continent, but we want to check if the searching continent is less than 5. Okay, because we want to go from 0 to 5. So if we are on the last continent, we don't want to increase the searching continent anymore. We want to get the searching continent plus plus, and then we want to basically do again last position, update the last position for that for the new continent. So make sure you call this function before this, so we have new continent index, and then last position plus equal searching continent. Okay, so we want to go by that number down. Okay, so that's it. So we are updating our continent scores here. Then the last function, the next function we need to do right at the bottom, we need to actually save the score. So when we're playing the game, once we guess the flag, we want to save the results. So this is going to be public static void save score, and then we want to pass int flag index bool correct, so did we guess or not, and then int continent index. Okay, so we want to pass all of those information, and then we want to do int first position will be equal to find position of first flag in the continent. Okay, so again, instead of finding the last position as we did it previously, we want to get the first position. So we want to get this position. Okay, so we know from where we can start searching. So when we pass the flag index, let's say 0 for the Asia, we know we are at this location, not there. Okay, and then again for following continents. So let's implement this function straight away, because that's going to be a quick function as well. So right below, I will do the private int. Actually, it's going to be private static int. We paste the name of this function because it's quite long. As you see, this we're not passing the index of the continent. This is because the continent index, so int continent, will be equal to, we cast to int, and then we can get the continent index from the game settings dot instance dot get continent type -1. Okay, so we can get, once we start the game, we're choosing which continent we're playing, so we know on which continent we are. So this is the information. Okay, on which continent we are playing now. And then we want to get the int position to be equal to 0. Okay, and then we want to look for int I is equal to 0. I is less than the continent index, I plus plus, and then we want to increase the position plus equal to continent index at I sorry, continent length, not index, continent lengths at I. Okay, and then outside we want to check if the continent index is equal to 0. So if we are in the Europe, then we want to do the position plus equal 1. Okay, so if we are in the Europe, we are here. So because the continent index will be 0, so we're not going to do anything inside this loop. So we want to make sure we are on the second row, not the first one. That's why we're just adding 1 to it. So we are starting there, not there. Okay, and then we want to return position. Okay, so we have this function in. Let's save this file if you didn't. Let's press save. Okay, to make sure everything is saved. And then the next thing we want to do, we want to finish up with this function, with the save score. So if continent index is equal to 1, so this is the Europe. The reason why we're checking for the 1 now, not for the 0, is because in our game data, as you see, is a game data. In our game settings, the enum for the continent is starting from 0, so the Europe is at the index 1, not at the index 0. Okay, so that's the reason why we checking here for 1 and why we actually doing the -1 here, because in our file the Europe is at the position 0, not position 1. Okay, so that's why we're doing the -1 everywhere. Okay, so if we are in the continent index 1, so we are in the Europe, we want to do if correct. So if we guessed and the score list at first position plus flag index plus continent index is equal to 0, then we want to do the score list. Sorry, if the first position plus flag index, not plus the continent index, because we are in the Euro, so this is the first continent. Okay, so we are here, so we don't need to add the continent index, because the first position is already added 1 to it. So the score list, I will just copy this one, at that position will be equal to 1. Okay, so if we had 0 in it, we just want to assign 1, and this is correct, not okay. So if correct, and that's 1. Okay. Okay, so otherwise, if we are not in the Europe, if we are in any other continent, we want to check if correct and score list at first position plus, I will open the braces, flag index plus continent index will be equal to 0. Okay, next braces. So we want to do the same, so score list, I will copy this bit and put is equal to 1. Okay, so one update, we need to add the continent index to it, because for the Asia we want to add the length of the continent plus the continent index, so plus Europe plus 1. So that's why we're adding the index here. Okay, so this is for the saving scores, so that's it. And then right at the bottom I will create just one more function, so it's going to be public. Actually, it's not the last function, but static void, but the next function will be very small, so reset. This function is going to be for reset the progress, so reset game progress. The P should be good, capital. Okay, and then I want to do the score list dot for each item is equal to 0. Okay, and then save score list. So when I save the score list and then update score list. Okay, so this is for to restart our game progress, so wipe out the file. Okay, let's go right at the top. And the last thing we need to do is actually we need to create the getter functions for this continent scores. So I will, right before the create score file, I will create a few more functions. So public static int, and then get Europe score, and then return continent scores at 0. Okay, because it's Europe is at 0, and then I will duplicate this function a few times, and we need to do for every single continent. So the next continent will be Asia, and then we make sure you just passed 1 here, then 2 will be Africa, okay, 3 will be North America, then 4 will be South America, South America, okay, so that's gonna be 4, and then 5 will be Oceania, so that's gonna be 5. Okay, make sure you have the right numbers. Okay, we can save this file finally, and I think we finish with it. So just remember, if you're building this game for the Android, you need to put this application persistent data instead of the directory, so it's gonna be like that. Actually, I made a mistake in it. Persistent data, okay. So that's the correct name. Application persistent data. So I will just update this one in the comment. Okay. So make sure you're using this one if you're building for the Android. Okay, let's save this file. Okay, let's go to our progress bar and replace our temporary variables which we created in the last episode with our proper functions. So in the progress bar on the start method, I will just remove all of these 10 variables, and I will replace them with the int config dot get Europe score. Okay, and we need to do the same for all of the continent. So we just copy this config, and then for the Africa, I will just go that and then get Africa scores. Then for the Asia is gonna be get Asia score. North America, we don't need this stamp. Get North America score. For the South America, it's gonna be okay. Just make sure you're calling the right function, otherwise you will get the wrong results. And for the Oceania, it's gonna be get Oceania score. Okay, let's save everything. Go back to the config. Okay, now we have to call our create score file function from project. So let's go to our game data, and we're gonna call this function from our awake method. So inside the awake method, right below this instance, I will call config dot create score file. Okay, so we're gonna create score file at the beginning of the game. If the file is already there, we're just gonna read the file. If it's not, we're gonna output the new file. Okay, let's save it, and then go to the flag script. And inside our flag script, we have actually forgot to do one important thing. So our game data, which is the current game data, has a function called setGuest. So the setGuest function is setting the guest variable to true. Currently, we're not calling this function from anywhere within the script. As you see, it's just found only one line. So we need to call this function from our flag script. So go back to the file, to the flag script, and then we're gonna take the on mouse down. If we guess the flag right below the scores, we're gonna call m_game_data dot set guessed. So we're gonna set the guessed variable to be true. Okay, let's save this flag. Okay, so we created the flag, we have everything set. We just need to now output the data from within our game to our score list in the config file. So the way we're gonna do it is from our current game data. We have function called setGameOver, which is right at the top. Okay, so we're gonna expand this function. And then right below, if the game finished, we wanna create the integer variable int number of flags will be equal to game data dot instance dot country set per game. Make sure you call the right array, and then length. So we want to get the number of the flags for the currently selected continent, and then we want to call the config dot update score list. Then I will create the for loop. Int I is equal to 0. I is less than the number of flags, and then I plus plus. Okay, so inside this for loop, I will we're gonna go through all of the files and check if the file has all of the flags, and check if the flag has been guessed. So config dot save score, and we wanna put the flag index is gonna be I. Then the next we correct is gonna be game data dot instance dot country set per game at I dot guessed. Okay, and then int, we cast to int game settings. We want to get the continent index, so game settings instance dot get continent type. Okay, so we want to update our score list. Okay, and right below this for loop, I will call the config dot update score list again. Okay, and then config. Actually, we want to call before this update score list, we want to save everything. So config dot save score list. Okay, so we want to first call save score list. Save score list. Okay, save score list, not save score. Save score list, and then update score list. Okay, so this is gonna happen only when we finish our game. Okay, so we can save everything now. Let's go back to the Unity. Okay, now let's go to the scripts folder, and then right click within the script, within the folder, and then show in the Explorer. So we're gonna go to our project location, and I will go 1, 2 directories above, and this is the location where we should have our flags.ini file created once we start the game. So let's test it. Let's start our game. Press play. Okay, and then if you bring the folder back, you see the flags.ini has been created. So I will just right click on this file and then open in the Notepad++. If you don't have this Notepad, you can open it in the normal Notepad or any text editor really. Okay, so as you see, all of the information has been outputted correctly. So we have information about all of the continents and all of the results. So if you don't want to have this name printed, name of the countries and the continent, you need to set this debug flag in the our config file config class to false. Okay, so let's play the game and then see if everything is working. So if you press play now, I will go Europe, survival, and let's guess few of the flags. So Monaco, Austria, Albania, I think is this one. Okay, now let's just remember the scores are saved only when we finish the game. So if I go out now, the score will not be saved in the file. Okay. Okay, so I guess 6 flags. So if I go back, and now when I get back to my file, I can reload it. If you open in the normal notepad, you need to close the file and open again. So as you see, I guessed Albania, so I have a 1 here. I guessed Austria, and I guessed the Iceland. I guess 6 countries. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so seems to be working fine. So now, if you go back to the main menu, and then you go to your game progress, you see I have completed 12% of the Europe continent, okay, and then 0 for the rest of the countries. So everything seems to be working fine. If I stop the game and then play again, and then go back to our results, I still have this 12%. So until I delete my file or clear down the data, which is not implemented yet, I will steer the percentage based on the results which is outputted in the file. Okay, so I hope this tutorial was useful. If you have any issue, please leave a comment below. If you did not subscribe yet, just please consider to do so. Thank you very much for watching, and in the next episode I will actually go over with you to create the list of the flags for the specific continent, and we will have a nice scrolling list with all of the flags with the results if the flag has been guessed or not. So until then, thank you very much for watching, and see you again in the next episode.